Good morning, everyone. Last time we spoke about Bookmap and I showed you a whole day of trading only using Bookmap. Now, obviously, that's not the ideal scenario, and it's also a good idea to have Bookmap tied to a regular chart. Those support and resistance zones that we saw in the Bookmap would make much more sense if you have a regular chart next to it. This is how I trade. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to walk you briefly through my chart on NinjaTrader so you see what I look at the screen, and I will then proceed in another video side by side to show you how Bookmap can enhance your trading during normal hours. I'm not going to do the pre-market because I understand it's lengthy and a lot of people who are especially on the western part of the world, United States, Great Britain, and so forth, it's a little bit too early for them, or actually it's during the night. So we're going to proceed with just the cash session. We're going to take a look at the cash session. I'm going to show you what I look for in terms of trades. And then when we do the video side by side Bookmap and the regular chart, you'll see how Bookmap nicely ties into the whole concept of support and resistance, where to look for it, and so forth. So what we have right here is the last day of trading, which was yesterday. Today is Saturday. So this is Friday, and we have the trading from Friday 4:30 right here. You can see this is how the market starts for me. So my market cash session, the United States cash session for me, starts 4:30 in the afternoon, and it runs all the way until 11. So this big drop was after market. It wasn't part of the cash session. So cash session ends right here at 11, and it starts at 4:30. So when we're looking at the regular market session, what I am actually looking for is highs and lows. This is where you, if you are a reversal trader, are going to find the majority of your trades. When I trade stocks, and that's another story, when I trade stocks, I personally trade breakouts. But when I trade futures, and because it's smaller time frame, you can see right here, June contract ES 1 minute chart, I prefer to trade reversals. So what do we have on the chart? Now, the first thing that is on the chart, normal candlesticks. White is for bullish bar, red is for bearish bar, or up and down bars, whatever you want to call it. Right here at the bottom, we have the cumulative volume delta. Now, this is important because it shows us how the delta is building up throughout the day. Now, obviously, I have the entire session with pre-markets and Asian session. So right here is where European session opens. And right here is the Asian session, all the way from yesterday. So I have the whole thing, and delta is building over time. We start right here. And you can see delta has been positive all day. So this is the cumulative volume delta. It's just a line. That's the easiest thing that I can think of in order to have on a chart. Right here on the left side, we have a volume profile. Now this volume profile only has the POC, it's point of control right here with these dotted lines. And it's depending on the screen range. So you can see the profile is being built as there's more volume being accumulated on the screen. What else I have on the screen? I have this thing right here. This is probably the most important indicator that you can use if you are into using indicator. This is the volume weighted average price. These lines represent standard deviation. So I have this one standard deviation, which is about 67%, very narrow blue line right here, one standard deviation above and below. Then I have the two standard deviations, which is important, right? 95% or so fall within these two standard deviations. So we have green, obviously for support, buy, and we have red for support, for resistance or sell. And then we have this purple line right here. You can see it down here at the bottom. If I just compress it a little bit, you can see right here, these are three standard deviations, 99 point whatever percent. What is really the most important one is the VWAP itself and the two standard deviations. Anything above or below, I don't really consider to be that important. And you can see when we start with the market open, we touch the one, but then you can see a very nice bounce of the two standard deviations plus a zone. This is a zone for, if you know me and my trading, I use round numbers a lot, and I think that they work a lot. again, it's just, I don't understand why people don't have it. For ES, I use semi-round numbers as well, because ES is a lot cheaper than Nasdaq. So for Nasdaq, you're not going to use the 25s, but for ES, 25 to 50, that's 25 points. On a quiet day, that's basically the entire range of the day. So 25 is also important. So I have the 50, the 25, and then I also have okay, that's the 50, that's the round number, that's 25, and so forth, or 75 in that case, but you get the point. 25, 0, 25, 0, and so forth. So this is what I have on the chart. Now, as I said, we're looking for highs and lows in order to trade. Zones where the price might, reject or being supported, and again, back to the VWAP or some of the zones. So right here, when the market is opening at 4:30, you can definitely see we are hovering around a zone. That's the 50 zone. Market opens. I think that's the candle right before the market opens, goes back up, goes down into the zone. Also, you have the one standard deviation, but that's not important, as I said. So if Bookmaps show you some level of liquidity right here with this zone and this bar happening, you can definitely short. Where is your first target? Now, if you short somewhere around here, obviously you're going to be looking for the VWAP, because you can see there's a big reaction of the VWAP. You can see it right here, that little wick. So I would definitely say it's a bullish candle, right? If you are just right here, you're seeing this. So pre-markets, the last candle is right here. Market opens, goes into the VWAP, and we do this. So if you short it here, pre-market, I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying, but if you short it here a minute before the market opened, gets to the VWAP, just get out. This is a bullish candle the way you see it, but the VWAP, you either have to tighten up your stops, move it to break even, or just take profits. The VWAP is a very powerful tool. You can see right here, we bounce off the VWAP, and if we zoom in a little bit, you can see bounce, 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 bounce. We broke it. We got higher. We go back almost into the zone, one standard deviation if you want to use that one. We go back up to the VWAP, but there's also some reaction right here. And if you look at the VWAP on a daily basis like I do, you'd understand this is one of the most powerful things that you can actually use. Anyway, as I was saying, if you short from this zone and there was some liquidity here on the Bookmap, VWAP is your place to take action and get out, or at least tighten up your trading. Now, the next thing that you will be looking for is a retest of this zone. We go back again here into the zone, one standard deviation, but here is where Bookmap will help you with the liquidity. So if you see liquidity above this, you are reaching a zone that you've identified. And as I said, I use round numbers a lot. Bam, you have a trade. Where do we go? VWAP, be careful. Now, there's one thing that, can point you whether the VWAP is that important or not. You can see all this around the VWAP. So you can see there's obviously some magnet going around here. But if you had only this, so just like look at that. So you only have this, and you see we're bouncing around the VWAP. We're bouncing around the point of control. That's the point of control. We just, zoom in a little bit so we have a little bit more data. So we're just bouncing. We're going back and forth, back and forth. Obviously, these lows represent some opportunity for a trade. Now, if you have something on Bookmap, you don't have a zone unless you want to use the one standard deviation as zone. But if you have something on Bookmap as well, this might help you trade. Now, obviously, these highs right here will be some sort of a zone forming, because right now, the only zone that you can think of is right here. But then we go here, we reject. Okay, so that's starting to play some importance. We go back here, another rejection. Here we have support. So we have 1, 2, we have 1, 2. So the moment we go here, well, that's a little bit over. So probably you could trade about 3 points. Anyway, if there was something on Bookmap, you can probably try to trade this. Here you have some resistance, so you can probably trade if you have something more on Bookmap. You don't have a zone here. You have support and resistance for recent highs, recent lows. So you see that would have stopped you out, but then we head right here into the zone. So this is the important part. You have a zone, probably showed up something on Bookmap, and then you have a trade. Where is your trade going? Obviously, these lows. The VWAP right now is not that important. You still have to tighten up around the VWAP and be very observant in how the price action will unfold. Then you have the POC for the chart, which obviously acted some sort of support right here. And then you have this. So if you don't take profits here, you definitely need to take profits right around here, or at least partial profits. So depending on how many contracts you're trading, it doesn't really matter. You can see here at the lows, we do have some hesitation, and then we go back. Now, the moment that this breaks, right, you cannot take a trade. You don't know if it's going to stop here. But what you have below you, is the 2 standard deviations right here, and then you have a zone. So this is a place where you can trade. Now, Bookmap is your confirmation. There is liquidity below it. You have 2 zones. Why not take a trade? Okay, so you see this, right? This is 31, this is 24. That's about 7 points. But the next zone that you're going to be targeting is right around here. That's what, 40. So you have about 9 to 10 points up above you that you can actually trade. Would you take it? It's a 1-to-1. Depending on what you saw on Bookmap, you could have been a little bit faster, but I usually wait until the candle is finished to trade. So you could take that, definitely. And right around here, you see we have the POC, we have another zone, so we might flip it, we might not. That's something that you have to be vigilant about it and probably tighten up your stop when you get to around here. I'm not saying taking profit. I probably wouldn't because it's still 1-to-1. It doesn't really make sense to take profits. Okay, so we go into the VWAP. We reject the VWAP. Obviously, you can see there is some resistance happening around here. But now it is where Bookmap comes into play, and you will see if there is liquidity forming around here at the VWAP that you can, take partials. But here are the 2 important zones that you could have traded on. This one right here, if Bookmap gives you some confirmation about resistance sitting above it. And here, if Bookmap gives you some confirmation about support sitting below that. That's it. Anything else is noise. You don't care about that. So you see, again, we're oscillating around the VWAP. Same thing right here. There's no trade for you. Again, absolutely nothing here that you can do. We are getting into this high. So remember, recent highs, recent lows are possible trades. We're getting into the high. We're getting into a zone. We're getting into the 2 standard deviations. Watch. There's absolutely nothing. We're still not there. This one got into it. So maybe this is a trade. Recent high into the zone. If Bookmap shows you something, you know what to do. Take a trade. Bookmap liquidity as your stop. First zone, VWAP. Second zone, obviously right here. Then you have the third zone all the way down here. Okay, this jumped from the VWAP, and right here on this candle, the way that you see it, probably taking a short right here, break even, just get out. This is enough of a thing that this might actually turn up. Now, speaking about that, look at the volume delta below. That's why I only have this one. I don't need any more indicators than this and Bookmap. It doesn't make any sense, right? So you have the VWAP, you have Bookmap, and you have the cumulative volume delta. Look at these 2, right? So we make a low right here, we make a low right here. But look at what the volume delta is doing. Look, it's been going up. And even if you look at this, we're right here, then we're like here, but we're making a lower low. So that's classic divergence. You can use the cumulative volume delta for that for sure. So we're into the zone. And here's one thing. Like here you might be thinking, all right, why would I take another short? I'll say probably you'll be cautious. Why? The first time we got into the zone, we got here. Then we got here, it's tightening up. And that's classic breakout situation. You see another one, and if you're familiar with Mark Minervini VCP, it's just getting tighter and tighter and tighter, ready to burst. So you'll be very cautious right here. You'll probably still take a short, but this will be the most that you're going to get out. So you have 48, you have 48 points. If you have some liquidity here on Bookmap, you can probably trade that. I'm guessing it didn't even give an opportunity to actually trade it. There was no real bar here on the downside. You go up into the second standard deviation, and now you're looking, is there a trade right here? But then you have another triangle, nothing happening right here. You at the highs. So this is the pre-market highs. This is your new zone that you will be looking for right here. Is there something going on there? You can see 1, 2, very short-lived corrections. 3, we're going right here, burst. These zones become support. Of the 2, we go into the 3. And here's where Bookmap comes in. Do you have a zone right here? For this, I have another chart, which is, as you can see, a 30-minute, same thing, 30-minute. So this might help you with when we break the range. This might help you and show you if there is something important going on here. But no, the only, so you see it's a fast zone right here up until, what is that? 50. So 60, 50 is the next zone. We are 100 points below that. Nothing really to help you here. Let me just do that. And for now, there is absolutely nothing that you can do. No trade. Now let's look at the evolution of the cumulative volume delta. And I'll just play it like this. So you see, it makes a high. This makes a high. You are in no zone. There is absolutely nothing here. Would you take it? No. Doesn't really matter what shows on Bookmap. You just stay out of that. It doesn't pay you to be in these type of trades. Now, here, what you see is a rejection right of the second standard deviation. So this was support up until now. We broke it. Now we go here. This becomes resistance. This might warrant a small dip, a trade that's only about 2-3 points. You might want to try it if Bookmap gives you some liquidity right here so you can actually hide your stop. Volume delta is telling us the exact same thing. So there is no divergence. There is nothing that indicates that this is something going wrong. And right here, the moment that we touch over here, you'll be stopped out, obviously. Now we have this high. So this is our zone. Looking at how we're going to play into the zone. We moved higher. We move higher. There's really nothing going on. So it's definitely a trendy day. We'll move higher. So you can see what's going on. Delta is almost at the same level. Delta is, price is starting to drop. Delta still staying elevated. Nothing that you can do right here. This high. Okay, let's just check when this changed. So look, now we are in the zone right here. We have a zone. I still wouldn't trade anything right here. This is not that important of a zone, but now this establishes a high. So we're looking for this high. So I just noticed something and I want to show you this. Look, they moved the volume profile. The POC moved from down here up here. We are approaching this high. We still don't have a certain confirmation, but let's look at this zone. Let's look at this. Now we have the 2 standard deviations coming up here. And of course, also looking for Bookmap. Now this is very late in the market session, so you have to be careful about aftermarket and know your margins also. Look what happened. And that's after 11, but still market is market. We're just going to discuss it. I'm not taking a trade after probably 10:50 at night, meaning 10 minutes before the market closes. I'm probably not taking any trades before that because after market closes, there's a lot of volatility coming to the market and you don't know where it's going to go. But, and plus, I don't really like overnight trading in futures. Stocks are a different story, as I told you. But look, they moved the volume profile right here into the zone. You have 2 standard deviations. You have this zone. I'm betting there was something on Bookmap. I don't usually stay that late to tell you. But if you have some confirmation on Bookmap, that's definitely a trade. Of course, if it wasn't 11 o'clock or market close. But I'm just showing you how things are actually stacking up. So you have the volume profile moving here, the point of control. You have the zone. You have the 2 standard deviations. If you have Bookmap, the more that it gives you in terms of confirmation that you just have to take that trade. So this is how I use the chart with the zones and then adding to it Bookmap as a layer. I'm not trading solely on Bookmap. So the next time we're going to review a day with Bookmap, we're just also going to have this chart side by side with Bookmap so we can actually discuss in real time what is a trade, what is not, and how you can use this to your benefit. All right, hope this was helpful. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.